Welcome everyone, and thank you for attending today's webcast, Migrating Autodesk Inventor Standards and Styles to a New Release. Our presenter today is Kevin Bosch. He is a solutions engineer with Hagerman & Company. Before we get started, I'll let you know that you're in listening only mode. If you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the question panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and they'll be addressed at the end of the presentation. As we close down the session today, you'll be prompted to fill out a survey, and we ask that you take a few moments to fill that out. Additionally, all registrants will receive a follow-up email containing a link for the recording of this presentation. And with that, I will hand things over to Kevin.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Get a lot of phone calls about how do I migrate my styles, how do I clear these errors, that these style conflicts. So I thought just kind of a refresher over the steps to migrate these to the next release might be a good thing for this webcast. We're kind of in that season of getting to the new releases. I can't really say anything about what's coming up in the next month and a half, but you all know that this is about that time of year. So, but this discussion today really applies going from any release to a later release. Even some of the very early releases before a different material library or appearance library, we'll look at some of those things. We're going to go ahead and look at what files do we want to keep and what files do we want to bring over, and then how do we migrate those to that release. We'll look at project settings versus the application options and which one is better, which one is best practice. We're going to look at those custom material libraries. How do I set one of those up, and then how do I bring it forward each year? And then finally, those style conflicts. That's the one we get the most phone calls on, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some of those questions through the presentation here. And if not, as we said, go ahead and fill those questions out, and I'll be glad to answer as many as I can at the end. So when we're talking about our design data, the dimension styles, text styles, colors, templates, what do we bring over? What do we copy, and what do we replace? What do we want to keep? As I said, that next release, we don't know any exact dates yet, so I can't go too deep into that, but we know this is that time of year. So when it comes to the templates themselves, sheet metal, standard, anything that is automatically in Inventor, those are the things that we typically want to keep for that release. Anything that we build ourselves, you can kind of see this 2421 IPT here, and I'll have some others that are in my template list. Those are the things that we want to copy and then place into specific folders, and we'll talk about those. The default setup when we install our brand new Inventor, this is where everything goes. Our design data goes into this users public documents folder. It'll have the Inventor release on the end there, and then design data. And our templates, almost the exact same spot. It's just templates instead of design data. So those are the things that we're going to be copying or using for our new release. But then again, we've got those custom things that we need to bring in and add to these folders. We'll get into project settings versus application options. One thing to note here is that when we set values in our project settings, these are going to overrule the settings in our application options. It takes precedent. What does this default mean? And it's a real simple answer. Default means that I'm going to use the settings and application options. And how do I save these application options out for other users? We'll look at that process as well. And then the Content Center, I'm kind of throwing this in as an afterthought. shouldn't necessarily be an afterthought, but what's the difference between the default Content Center files location and the location of the Content Center libraries? That's a question that I get quite a lot and have to explain, so we'll try and look at that as well. And what are the best practices for our custom materials? How do we save those out? Where are the default locations? Well, the default Inventor materials are located here in the public documents path. The default Autodesk material library is a common file used by many Autodesk products. It's not just Inventor. So we kind of want to keep that where it's located, but we can still pull things from that library and put them into our custom library, and we'll look at that process. And then the custom libraries, as we create those are saved in the same location as the default Inventor material library, and that file type is the ADSK LIB file type. As far as clearing style conflicts is concerned, we need to look at some project settings, and we'll also look at the Manage tab, that Styles and Standards panel, and we've got a couple of buttons there that help us fix these little errors here. We'll look at some common steps. Now, I'm not going to say that these steps will always fix these errors, but we've got some common steps that we can take to relieve these. And one of the biggest keys is actually reading through the error and what is the problem? What do we have to deal with here? So we'll look at this as well. And now I think I can probably begin the demo here just a little bit. Let me minimize my PowerPoint and pull up Inventor. And let's see here. So the first thing that that we want to look at is the files that we want to keep. So when we install Inventor, we're given a set of files that automatically get installed. Our backgrounds, our catalogs, this design data folder, which has a number of different options in it, some XML files, as well as our material libraries are in here. You can see the Inventor material library here at the top. All of these things are new with each release, and every one of them is of course placed in a release specific folder. Primarily it is these two folders here that we want to copy over, design data and template files, and oftentimes we want to copy those out to a network location, and then whether we choose the project settings or the application options, we're going to go ahead and set those paths in one or the other for each of the users. When we have some custom things, for instance, you see that I've got, let's see, this 2421 template here, as well as this style conflicts IDW. These are things that I made. There's a few others within this folder that I made. Those are the things that we want to keep. So if we've made those, maybe those have been around for a few releases, copy those out separately and then place them back. Maybe you even want to create your own folder here, and we can create a folder. Very simply, we can move our items into that new folder very easily, and then that way you can just copy that folder over for each release into this templates folder. That makes things much easier. When it comes to our project settings themselves versus the application options, we're talking about these three paths primarily. Where is the design data located? Where are the templates going to be located? And then those content center files, where are those going to be located? So with design data, of course, we can edit that path. We can browse out to any location we want to. Again, typically, if we're in a multi-user setup without Autodesk Vault, of course, we go ahead and set that out to a network location. Same thing with templates. Same thing with those content center files. If we decide we want to use the application options, then we can simply set use default. Now, which is better? Depends on your environment. You know, if you've got a project file set at the top level of all of your engineering files, and everybody's using that one project file, it's perfect. Come in, change your project file, and it's automatically set up. You change it in one place, and it's automatically set up for everybody. Without Autodesk Vault, you've probably heard the horror stories. You got to be real careful because people can overwrite model files. Two people can be in the same file at the same time and cause some issues. So if you are in an environment where you're not using Vault and there are multiple users, just be careful. Just make sure you communicate with everybody. Set your project path to point to all of those. This will overwrite anything that you've got in your application options. The other side, I'm going to go ahead and say no to this for the moment. The other side is on your Tools tab, Application Options, and that File tab. Set those paths here. You've got your design data. Typically, you would change that path, but it's also going to be in that design data path for the new symbol library. And then we'll talk about Content Center here in just a minute. Your templates path is up here. Again, you can change that path as well. As far as Content Center is concerned, whether you're using this path here or you have a path set in your project, what that actually means, what this is pointing to, is the file location for any Content Center items that have been placed. So any nuts, bolts, any fasteners whatsoever, any fixtures or anything that comes out of the Content Center, when that model shows up in your assembly, this is the location that it gets saved in. Well, you can quickly notice that the default setting is my user profile. That doesn't help if my coworker needs to see my assemblies, because he's going to open those up and get this wonderful little error that says he can't find all my files. Set this out, and you can set it for everybody. Set it out to a network location, and that way, as those assemblies get opened, everybody can see those Content Center files. This is considerably different. This is where those IPTs get saved. That is different than the Content Center path here. This path is the location of all the databases to make up the Content Center files. So if we were actually to go there, C drive, program data, which is a hidden folder, you'll have to turn the view of that on. I believe that's Autodesk. And let's see here, in this case, Inventor 2017, Content Center, Libraries, and you can see all of these IDCLs. These are all database files that hold the information to create all those IPTs that I need. Once again, we can copy this folder out, put it out on a network location, and point everybody to that, and everybody's pulling from the same set of databases. So those are really the settings. Your templates, your design data, and where do Content Center file IPTs get saved? Those three places. The rest of this is you want to match these paths up, but again, it's going to fall into that design data folder. And then your projects folder is simply a place to hold shortcuts for all of your different projects. So you'll just see those. Those projects obviously have their own paths this is just a shortcuts location. So keep that in mind as well. Let's see. So what about our material libraries? Well, let's go in and open up an IPT file here a minute and talk about those. When it comes to these style library or these material and appearance libraries, obviously everybody knows you've got your materials on the one side, you've got your appearance on the other. You can switch between very quickly Autodesk materials or Inventor materials. Pretty simple process. And you can get to either the material library or the appearance library by these small icons here. A few different things. Typically, I don't try to mess with either one of these libraries. I don't try to change anything in either one of these libraries. They are changeable. If you so desire, you can go in and grab a material and change it to yours and save it to this particular library. The best practice is to go ahead and create a brand new library, and you can call it anything you want. It will end up with that ADSK LIB file, and now I can come back and switch to any one of these and grab a given material and add it to my particular library. And that's really the best way to do this. We'll add it to that, then I can come back and select mine, and you can see that I've added this. And if I want to change that, then I've got some tools for editing the different identity, appearance, physical settings. I can do all of that right here. Once you have that, what truly happens is that library gets saved along with your Inventor library. So when you get to your new release, let's see here. When you get to your new release, this will get saved over. I don't think that I saved that other one, but you will also see another ADSK library for your custom, and all you have to do is select that one file and copy it over to the new release location, and then it will also be available. There are a number of documents, and if you have need to do that with the material libraries, there's a couple of documents that are out there that go through those steps. We can get you those. Just let us know, and we'll be glad to get those out to you. As far as the style conflicts themselves are concerned, and this is probably why everybody has joined this, just to figure out how to clear these style conflicts. There are a number of different ways to try to clear these things. Our first one, let's see if we can create one from here, and that one was not found. That's because I moved it to a different folder. So let me clear that just a minute. Now, when all else fails, let's just restart Inventor, right? While this is coming up, we'll see if we've got no questions at this point. I know I've gone through this kind of fast. There we go, and here's our custom templates folder that I put those things in, so there's that guy. And we'll see if we can't get one started here. So here we go. We start out immediately with the conflicts, and it's important to read this message. Talking about my IDW differs from the definitions in the styles library, and the library definitions will be used. And it shows that my dimension, default ANSI, parts list ANSI, and standard my standard default ANSI are different. And then this is the real key here. If the style definitions in the style library are intended for the new document, update the template with the new style definitions. If the style definitions in the template are intended for the new document, remove these styles from your style library using the library manager. So very key to look at those and decide what we want to do. Do we want the styles in the document, or do we want the styles from the library to be used? And then we also have this prompts button. So can we blow this away? Well, you know, in this particular situation, as long as we know what's right, we could say, don't ever show me this message again. And it wouldn't wreck Inventor. It's not going to cause you to have issues. You can always come back and make these messages available if you do this. It is okay in this particular case to go ahead and select that option not to show. I'm going to click OK, and we're going to open this up and see if we can figure out what is different, and then most importantly, how do we fix it? Couple of different things. If I want to pull the information from the styles library into my document, then I have the update option. If I come into the styles library and I make changes, for instance, let's take a look at the standard. Setting this up, I happen to know that in my dimension setup, the way I saved the document was to remove all but default ANSI. So my styles library has one thing, my document has another. Another thing that I did was I came into the default ANSI and I changed the precision in the document. So I know that that was one of the changes that was an issue. And finally, the last thing that I did was come in and change my parts list columns and make some differences there. So I've got two choices. If my document's right, and I know that my document's right, I need to save that information back to the styles library. If the style library is right, then I need to pull that information down, and that's what this update button is for. Update grabs the information from the style library, brings it into the document, and lets me save it. So I could do that, and that would clear my error. We'll go ahead and pull that through. And sometimes I do this, and it's kind of odd when I look at that. There's nothing to select here. I'm going to click OK. And then the next thing that I'm going to do to clear those errors is come down to Save As, Save Copy As Template. Once I know that everything is right, I don't have Vault turned on right now, and that's okay. And there's my IDW, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And yes, I want to replace it. So let's go ahead and close this, and let's see if that actually fixed it. Look at that, no error. Okay. Now that we are here, let's go ahead and make some of those changes that we just talked about. So we'll go to the Manage tab, Styles Editor. I'm going to start with my available styles here and dimension, and let's get rid of this. And let's get rid of that one, and that one. So those are out. I'm going to save and close. Actually, I didn't really need to save and close. I could have just saved. Let's take a look and make sure that's all we see here for that. Dimension, yep, they're out. Let's come down to dimension and select our style and change a couple of settings in here. We can change precision, we can change units, whatever we're going to do. And we'll just save this one. And then once again, I'm going to do my my parts list and add a couple of columns in here. Say I want material, and mass. And I can add those in, and I'll select OK here. And this time I can save and close. Once again, I've made changes to my drawing template here, but notice this is just a drawing, so I need to do that save as, save copy as template. We'll come back and select this guy and save, and yes, I want to replace it. So now I know my document's right. I also know that if I happen to open up my document or use that document, I'm going to get that error again. So let's go ahead and close this, and let's go in. Let's see, let's start with our project settings here. What we need to change in our project is this use style library equals read only. Right now all I can do is pull from the style library. I want to be able to send information back, so I'm going to do that read write. And I'll save that, select done, and then come in and let's go ahead and start a new one. Once again, same error. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and let this guy open. Go to my Manage tab. Now notice I have the Save button. So now I can send information back to the style library. And what I need to do is go ahead and go in here and make sure that the things that I want set are indeed set. For instance, let's see here, dimension, notice that was reset. That error says it's going to use the information from the style library. So if I'm going to make those changes and I want those to stick, I have to make all of those changes, and then I can hit save and send that information back. We'll give a little bit of an example with that. Instead of changing my standard here, I'm going to go ahead and change this. We'll set it to 4 and we'll save it and close and then save, and there you go. There's my default ANSI, and it's different. Do I want to save it to the library? Yes to all, and OK, and yes. What I've just done there is caused all of my other templates to have issues. Just gives you a little bit of an idea of how to fix those. And drawings typically are the ones that we see most of the errors on. It is literally a matter of checking the document. Is it right? Save it as a template. And if there are changes, then save those back to the library. If the library is right, hit the update, save it as a template, and you shouldn't see those errors anymore. Now what about parts? Because we do have that happen on occasion. Let's try this guy. And here you go. Well, the colors are completely screwed up. So what do we do now? Your best bet in this particular case, this template probably came from something long before, I want to say what, the 2013-2014 release. And in that time frame, the templates all included their own material and appearance information. That was prior to the material and appearance libraries. That's probably where this guy came from. Now, once again, I can click OK. I can roll on, I can build my models. There's no big deal here. What we're seeing when we look at the style library now is there's no material setting in here like there used to be years ago. So what I would have to do, or what I would do in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and close this guy. I think, let's finish our sketch here. I think this particular one, yeah, see, they've got it set to mild steel. So I'll show you what I would do. Go ahead and start new, grab standard, create, set it to mild steel. There we go, steel mild. They've got a semi-polished file. Save copy as template. Save it as my custom template. Do I want to replace it? Yes. And let's go ahead and close all of these. And let's go into the custom template once again. Well, actually, we should start here. no error. Don't have my sketch on there, which I could have created a sketch and saved down there as well, but that is how we clear those errors. Now, if you have things like iLogic settings, if you have certain iProperties, obviously you want to bring all of those over as well. So make sure that you recreate those in your new templates. That is honestly about all that that I have. Any questions? Any thoughts about this? I'm not seeing anything come through at this point. I hope that's a good thing. Is there, okay, here's a few questions that are coming through. Is there a way to repair a corrupted style library? Lewis, if you can get from previous versions, your best bet, if you can get to a new style library, so a new install, and then copy that over, that is typically the best way. There are some very specific things. So Lewis, if you've got, if you're seeing this and you have a support contract with us, I highly suggest you let one of us take a look and see what errors you're getting. These things are real subjective, I will say that. So these are kind of some of the things that we talked about today are very common, but if you've got some things that you're not seeing here, or more information, then please let us take a look and maybe we can help you work through that. Rich asked, what are the best practices for templates in Vault or Network? This again is subjective. I have my personal best practice is to keep things like templates and design data outside of Vault and keep them in one network location. That way you only have to change in one place. My reasoning for that is if you do keep them in Vault and you make changes, then everybody has to pull those down, and that makes things a little bit difficult sometimes. So typically when I set up a Vault, I say, hey, let's put our templates and our design data. You can have them on the Vault server just in their own folder. Let's see here. Victor, you can certainly try and copy your dimensions XML out to the new version folder to bring in your custom dimension settings. Absolutely, you can try that. What I would do is keep a copy of the default XML files. That way, if there is an issue, you can always put those back. Oftentimes, if you've already got a template set up, what you can do is open that template explicitly, save that information back to the style library using that save tab or that save button on the manage tab, and it should overwrite what's there and overwrite the XML. Let's see, network location is okay, but if the network goes down, Inventor becomes that is very true, Jeremy. You are absolutely right, and that is kind of the pitfall, I guess, of the network location. You probably would want to keep somewhere a copy of those settings locally if you're the CAD administrator, that kind of thing. So there's always two sides to every coin, as they say. Any other thoughts? Any other questions? Rich says when he has the design data folder on the network via application options, he'll get an error until they copy. That is most likely because your project path, I'm thinking your project paths have local settings set. you may be able to go in and right-click on those and set those to default, and that will pull from application options. Even though I've created my own style, ANSI comes up on some of the available styles. Casey, that is, let's see here, Manage, Styles Editor, and I'm in the wrong spot here. Let's go ahead and open up a drawing. And I'll just do it from the standard this time. Notice I've got mine screwed up. I told you I screwed it up. That setting that you're talking about, where ANSI comes up as the default, that is actually in these object default settings. And you can come in here, say it's your dimension settings. We can come in and select your style in this list. And when you do that for all of these, whatever it is, you know, you may have different styles for text or model view or leader objects or whatever. You can set those, even though you've created your own styles, this is where you set as the default, and those clear up. So thanks, Jeremy, I appreciate that. Let's see here. You're very welcome, everyone. Any other questions or thoughts? Not really seeing any at this point. Guys, I want to encourage everybody, if you are having your own issues, you know, different than what I've covered here, please reach out to our support team. If you don't have a support contract, we can get that taken care of for you. It's not a very expensive deal. You know, hopefully most of you guys do have that. We work with this quite a lot, and this is this hopefully will give you the information you need, but if it doesn't, we're always glad to help you.
Okay, Kevin, thanks so much for the presentation. This will conclude our broadcast. If you guys have additional questions that you think of later, you can just reply to the confirmation or reminder email you receive from GoToWebinar, and we can get those to Kevin or your representative to get the questions answered. And once again, if you could take a few moments to fill out the survey, we would appreciate it. And thanks everyone for attending the webcast, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.